landing here, landing here, landing here, landing here, landing here, landing here.
Step aboard Air China Flight 129 and embark on a journey that transcends the confines of aviation history. In a chilling tale of human error, weather's unpredictable fury, and the enduring quest for answers, we delve into the heart-wrenching tragedy that unfolded on April 15, 2002. Join us as we unravel the enigma shrouding one of South Korea's deadliest aviation disasters, a gripping narrative that confronts the fragility of life and the unwavering pursuit of aviation safety. Brace yourself for an immersive exploration that promises to captivate, educate, and provoke reflection as we embark on a quest to uncover the truth behind Flight 129's fateful descent. On April 15, 2002, at Beijing Capital International Airport, Air China Flight 129 underwent meticulous preparations for its journey to Gimhae International Airport in Busan, South Korea. Ground crews conducted final inspections while passengers gathered with a mix of excitement and nerves. Pilots meticulously reviewed flight plans and safety protocols, unaware of the tragic events that would soon unfold. Air China is indeed one of the major airlines of the People's Republic of China, and it's often referred to as the flag carrier of China. While it's not named China National Airways, it effectively serves as China's national airline. It operates both domestic and international flights, connecting China with destinations across the globe. One common misconception in the aviation world is the confusion between China Airlines and Air China. While both airlines share China in their names, they are distinct entities with separate origins and affiliations. China Airlines is often mistakenly thought to be the national carrier of the People's Republic of China, PRC, when in fact it is the flag carrier of Taiwan, officially known as the Republic of China, ROC. This misunderstanding stems from the similarity in names, leading many to erroneously assume a connection between the two airlines. However, China Airlines operates independently from Air China, serving as Taiwan's premier airline and playing a pivotal role in connecting the island nation with destinations around the world. Beijing Capital International Airport, one of Asia's busiest aviation hubs, pulsates with the energy of global connectivity. Situated on the outskirts of China's bustling capital, it serves as a gateway to the world, where cultures converge and journeys begin. From its sleek terminals to the vast runways, the airport embodies modernity and efficiency, seamlessly facilitating the flow of millions of passengers each year. Amidst the flurry of activity, travelers from all corners of the globe navigate its corridors, bound for destinations near and far, each departure marking the start of a new adventure. Air China Flight 129 embarked on a journey spanning approximately 1,400 kilometers from Beijing Capital International Airport to Gimhae International Airport in Busan, South Korea. With a scheduled flight time of around 2 hours, the aircraft followed a predetermined route through the skies, traversing diverse landscapes and weather systems. The Boeing 767-200ER, registered as B2552 and operated by Air China, boasted an impressive history. Delivered in 1985, it bore Boeing serial number 23308 and line number 127. Initially under the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, it seamlessly transitioned to Air China after CAAC's restructuring. With over 40,000 flying hours and approximately 14,500 flights under its belt, this aircraft was a seasoned veteran of the skies, embodying reliability and endurance. The flight deck crew comprised Captain Wu Xinlu, aged 30, who joined Air China after graduating from the Civil Aviation Flying University of China in 1994. Promoted to captain in 2001, he boasted 6,497 hours of flying experience, with a significant portion on the Boeing 767, and had flown to Busan 5 times. First Officer Gao Lijie, aged 29, graduated from the Air Force Academy in 1993 before joining Air China. With 5,295 flying hours, including 1,215 on the Boeing 767, he had previously flown twice to Busan. Second Officer Ho Xiangning, aged 27, joined Air China in 1997 after completing his education at the Civil Aviation Flying University of China. Although he lacked experience landing in Busan, he had amassed 1,175 flying hours, including 1,078 on the Boeing 767. Out of the 155 passengers on board, the majority, totaling 135 individuals, hailed from South Korea, while 19 passengers were from China, and 1 passenger originated from Uzbekistan. Meanwhile, all 11 crew members were citizens of China. The departure of the flight occurred precisely at 08:37 local time, translating to 00:37 Coordinated Universal Time, UTC. At this moment, the aircraft commenced its journey, lifting off from the runway and embarking on its scheduled flight path. For the initial 2 hours of its flight, Air China Flight 129 cruised smoothly through the skies, adhering to its designated route and timetable. As the aircraft soared towards its destination, the routine hum of the engines and the gentle sway of the cabin lulled passengers into a sense of tranquility. Inside the cockpit, the flight crew diligently monitored the aircraft's systems, ensuring everything operated flawlessly as they approached Gimhae International Airport in Busan, South Korea. With the routine precision characteristic of commercial aviation, the flight progressed uneventfully, with passengers eagerly anticipating their arrival in the vibrant city below. After 2 hours of smooth flying, the pilots were busy preparing for the landing process. The captain and the second officer, third pilot Taoyi, who had never been to Busan before, as well as the first officer, co-pilot, had only landed at this airport twice. After communicating with ATC, the pilots received information about poor weather conditions in Busan, including heavy rain and thick fog. The captain expressed concern about visibility dropping to below 1,000 meters. They were directed by ATC to execute an instrument landing system, ILS approach, due to the dense fog, which could potentially obstruct the pilot's view of the runway. The instrument landing system, ILS, is a collection of radio transmitters positioned near airports and along the approach path to the runway. It enables aircraft to make precision landings when visibility is low, allowing pilots to safely land even when they cannot visually see the runway. After careful consideration, the captain made the decision to proceed with the landing, even though most other flights in the area had opted to land at an alternate airport. The captain determined that landing on runway 36L was the best course of action, as it offered a straight-in approach, minimizing the time spent in the fog and simplifying the landing process for the aircraft. The flight received instructions from ATC to descend to an altitude of 17,000 feet in preparation for the approach to Gimhae International Airport in Busan, South Korea. The captain requested clearance to land on runway 36L, which was granted by ATC. Meanwhile, the weather conditions continued to deteriorate due to heavy rain and dense fog, reducing visibility to 800 meters. The flight crew utilized the flight map provided by Air China to gain a clear understanding of their flight path. The weather conditions continued to deteriorate. Satellite imagery obtained from the Korea Meteorological Administration radar depicted a vast expanse of rain clouds stretching from Busan to the southeast, extending as far as Japan and gradually shifting eastward. These clouds moved sluggishly, with dense clusters observed over the sea south of Gimhae. Additionally, gusts reaching up to 16 knots, 30 km/h, 18 mph were recorded. After agreeing to allow the flight to land on runway 36L, the wind at the airport suddenly shifted direction. To ensure safety, ATC requested the flight to land on runway 18R. This change posed new challenges for the pilots in the adverse weather conditions, especially for the captain, who was unfamiliar with landing on this runway. The flight plan for landing on runway 18R was as follows. They would fly straight to approach runway 36L. As they neared 36L, they would make a left turn at the reference point of the beginning of runway 36L, then maneuver to fly parallel to 36L. Finally, they would execute a right turn to land on 18R. This plan posed a significant challenge for the pilots, as none of them had ever landed on runway 18R before. The adverse weather conditions further complicated the situation. As they prepared to approach the airport, the first officer strained to catch sight of the runway lights of 36L from outside the aircraft. If they could spot the lights of runway 36L, the pilots would easily determine the timing for their turns to execute a safe landing. However, inexplicably at this moment, the lights of runway 36L went out, leaving the crew perplexed. Fortunately, the first officer spotted the lights of the airport terminal. Nevertheless, the dim lighting conditions left them flying in hazy conditions, leading to critical errors ahead. The autopilot was disconnected. The captain instructed to make a left turn at the reference point of the beginning of runway 36L. According to the plan, they would then turn right to fly parallel to runway 36L. However, due to the adverse weather conditions, limited visibility, and lack of experience landing here, the pilots turned right earlier than intended. The captain realized that they had turned earlier than planned. He intended to correct this error at the end of the runway. Meanwhile, ATC at Busan Airport attempted to communicate with Flight 129, but received no response. They had to switch to the emergency frequency to establish contact with 129. However, all three pilots in the cockpit were distracted by navigation, adverse weather conditions, and low visibility. They were too preoccupied to pay attention to ATC communication, failing to respond. The co-pilot, who had previously landed twice at Busan, reminded the captain because he knew that at the end of runway 36L, there were hazardous high-altitude mountains. After flying parallel with runway for some time, the pilots responded to ATC, reporting the flight's position. ATC acknowledged the information and requested the aircraft to maintain an altitude of 700 feet before landing. Due to the earlier-than-planned right turn, the captain decided to make a slight left turn to facilitate a smoother maneuver for the aircraft to circle back and land on runway 18R more conveniently. At this moment, the co-pilot urged the captain to make a quick right turn to land, warning of the danger of flying into the mountainous area. However, the captain did not respond. Feeling increasingly unsettled and recognizing the danger, the co-pilot requested the captain to abort the landing and go around for a second landing attempt. However, the captain still did not respond. Suddenly, before the two pilots, the terrifying and deadly sight of the Dotdae Mountain loomed, located in the Sano-Myeon mountainous region. Both pilots panicked, increasing thrust and pushing the control yoke in a desperate attempt to avoid a fatal collision. But it was all too late. Everything was beyond salvage.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
Flight 129 crashed into the Dai Mountain near the Sanomian mountainous region close to Gimhae International Airport. The aircraft exploded into thousands of pieces, claiming the lives of all 129 people on board. Flight 129 is currently recorded as the deadliest aviation accident in South Korea. The aircraft's initial contact with the terrain occurred when its right wing struck a tree. Subsequently, it collided with the ground, causing the airplane to break apart due to the force of the impact. The right wing, empennage, left wing, portions of the fuselage, and both engines separated. The plane then erupted into flames, engulfing the cockpit and forward fuselage. As it slid, the aircraft destroyed several trees and disturbed 12 graves. 37 individuals on board, including the captain, survived the crash. The intense post-impact fire melted the aluminum and other metals of the fuselage. The front section of the fuselage was completely obliterated, complicating the identification process for investigators. In March 2005, the Korea Aviation Accident Investigation Board released its final report, attributing the crash to pilot error. The report indicated that the crew had unintentionally descended below the minimum safe altitude. Further details from the report revealed that the pilots had only received training for a circling approach in the airline simulator, specifically for Beijing Capital International Airport and not for Gimhae Airport's runway 18R. Additionally, the report faulted the tower controllers at Gimhae Airport for failing to utilize the tower bright and MSAODO systems after losing visual contact with the aircraft. In response to the Korean official report, the Civil Aviation Administration of China pointed out that Park Jun-yong, the ATC official during the accident, lacked licensing for air traffic control and issued incorrect orders due to his inexperience with the Boeing 767. Park, lacking familiarity with the characteristics of the Boeing 767 aircraft, erroneously instructed the airliner to descend to 700 feet, 213.5 meters, instead of the recommended safe altitude of 100 feet, 335.5 meters for a Boeing 767. As of December 2023, Air China no longer uses the Flight 129 designation on its Beijing capital to Gimhae route, and now uses the Flight 729 designation instead. Additionally, Air China utilizes a Boeing 737, as the Boeing 767 has been retired from their fleet.